years old when I started Wired Up Electrical Design here in Denver, Colorado. And pretty much I went from a commercial apprentice, commercial journeyman to a master electrician. I was still working in the commercial field to then start shifting to starting my own business, which, as you know, it's a lot easier and quicker to get into residential,
Oh,
right? So
definitely.
that's kind of the background of how I started. So before I even realistically, before I even um when I made that transition into running my business into residential, I really had no experience in residential, you know?
I started doing side work literally when I was in tech school. Like I had no experience at all. Like the only experience I had, picture like a piece of plywood and we'd like mount like a 1900 3-foot piece of EMT, would kind of like snake some conductors through it, plug a little extension cord to an outlet, just kind of like simulated a few things. I literally took on this side job in this lady's basement. She had a drop ceiling. She had a couple 2x4 fixtures that need to be replaced.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember getting there and I was so stressed out. I was like panicking. I was walking back and forth. All I had to do was take the fixture out, put a new one back in. But there was a floating splice on top of the ceiling. So there was 3 wires coming in. The wire going to the switch was a switch loop. I had never even heard of a switch loop. It was just, so it was whatever. There's a big splice on top of this light, no box, nothing, just free aired. I
Yeah.
took the whole splice apart, take the fixture out, put the new fixture back in, splice them back together, hit the switch. Obviously, there's a neutral on the switch now. Immediately, right in front of her, like just made fire, like sparks, like right in front of her face. So now I'm really sweating. I'm like, fuck, like, what do I do? I'm like, oh, hold on, I know what happened. I ran outside. I called my dad. I'm like, what the fuck? I don't know what I'm doing. Like freaked out. And he was like, all right, just pack it up. I'll be there tomorrow.
One of the worst things I ever did, and this is very simple, but you go to an older house and it's a 2-wire system, right? Meaning there's no equipment grounds.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I did the bootleg grounds, right? I took the neutral and I
Yeah.
pigtailed it and I hit the ground and the neutral so that it read right. And once I found out what that was and how bad that was, I ended up actually going back through, taking those all out.
Wow.
And putting in GFIs everywhere. The 2-wire system was even something that I had never dealt with, because in commercial, all the plans that we had, even running just branch circuits, everything had the equipment ground with it. So seeing a system that wasn't grounded was kind of new to me. And so I went through and like I told you, I pigtailed everything, and then I did some research on it. Because I was talking to somebody and they said, "Oh man, you did a bootleg round." I said, "Oh crap! Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do something that I'm not supposed to." So you're in your first year and you already have guys working for you, huh?
Yeah. That was, dude, I'm not gonna lie. The scariest thing was hiring my first guy. Not even starting the business. The first, like starting the business was obviously scary, but I was like ready to do it. But hiring my first guy, which we went to tech school together, he's pretty much like a journeyman, but that was my scariest thing, because I was like finally at the point where I was like completely free. I was making more money than I was before. So I'm like, all right, I have to kind of give some of this money up to get a guy on board. And then, but once I did that, I saw the investment work right away, because then I could send him here while I go over here.
The hardest thing as a business owner that I've finally just recently started doing was saying no. If you felt like you were saying no, you felt like you were turning down work. And if you're turning down work, you're turning down opportunities. You're turning down opportunities. You're not getting the word of mouth. You're not getting this consistent a flow of jobs coming in. So, you don't want to say no, but also you look at your schedule and you're like,
I can't.
shoot, man, I can't do it, but I'm going to do it.
You're
Right.
just saying what they want to hear. You're not doing what you should be doing, but I know I do it all the time.
But no, don't get me wrong. Like it's kind of that whole saying, right? Right. Like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Type of deal. And I did that a lot, dude. And I mean, it didn't matter. So I'd be like, hey, Ricky, I'm gonna be there tomorrow at 10 o'clock, knowing I'd be there until about 2, but or even later, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden I'd call him and hey man, something happened. I'm still at this job. It's not like I was lying to him, but I was still at the job, but I already knew previously I wasn't going to be there, but I didn't want to lose this client because I
Right.
needed to fill that next day or two.
Right.
So then you show up at like 2 or 3, they're kind of rolling their eyes, but you're there,
Yeah.
and so then you kind of introduce yourself and
Dude,
get
you're
going,
describing
and
my
then,
life.
and then the next morning you get there and you go hard at it. But even to this day, like I had a lady who we're doing some work at her house. We just did a service upgrade, and we were supposed to go in her house and fix all her 2-wire receptacles because she got the same deal that I used to give out, the bootlegs, right? She got that same deal. And
The 2-for-1.
the 2-for-1, yeah, yeah. And I wasn't able to make it the days because my schedule is getting pushed a lot because of the holidays. So unfortunately, she kind of replied on an email because I was like, hey, what other day can we do it? She goes, well, you've already rescheduled 2 to 3 times. Why don't you pick the date that you could commit to, and it was kind of hurt, but then also it was the truth, man. And so it is what it is. And instead of trying to explain everything to her of all the stuff that happened, which at the end of the day, it is what it is, I have to set a date, and I set her for 2 days, and I will promise her that, I know I'm going to schedule someone there. And if someone can't be there, I'll be there myself, so.
And that whole time is like, you always have your family on this side because you're thinking like, I got to get home.
Yeah.
My kid's 1.5. Like I need to be home by 5. And then the other part, it's like, am I going to be busy during the winter? Should I take this job? Do it, like saying no. The funny thing is when you do say no, it feels so good